So part of this adding and subtracting unit is that we are not just going to add and subtract fractions, we are also going to add and subtract mixed numbers. Let's look at the equation above. I have 4 3/9 plus 2 2/3. Now remember, in the past video, we talked about how in 4th grade, your denominators, you add in and subtracting fractions where your denominators are the same. In 5th grade, you are going to add and subtract fractions and mixed numbers where the denominators are what's called unlike. And that means that your denominators, which are that bottom number, if you remember from our vocabulary, are different from each other. So when we're adding mixed numbers, just like when we're adding fractions, our first step is to convert those fractions to have like denominators. So we need to find a fraction like 2/3 and find something that's equivalent to where my denominator equals 9. And one strategy that we talked about that we can use is finding our least common multiple. And remember, we want to list out the multiples of both 3 and 9 and to figure out which ones they have in common and to take the one that they have in common with the least amount of value. So let's go ahead and write out our multiples of 3. I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. And I don't want to keep on going forever and ever, so I'm just going to stop right there. Let's go ahead and write out our multiples of 9. 9, 18, 27, 36, and 45. Okay, and I want to find the common multiple that has the least amount of value. In this case, my least common multiple is 9. So my goal is to get my denominators to both equal 9. Well, if I have the mixed number 4 3/9, my denominator already equals 9. So I want to take 2 2/3 and I want to convert that to where I can get my denominator to also equal 9. Well, I know that if I take 3, I can multiply that times 3 and that will equal 9. And remember, whatever we do to the denominator, we also have to do to the numerator. So I'm going to make that times 3 as well. I'm going to leave my whole number, which is 2, alone. Okay, so now that's going to become 2 6/9. Now that I have my mixed numbers and my denominators are now like, we are now going to first add our whole numbers. So I know that 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay. And then we're just going to add our fractions. 3/9 plus 6/9 is going to be 9/9. I know in multiplication, when we were multiplying mixed numbers, you guys just wanted to multiply across, and I told you that we needed to first convert them to improper and then multiply. Well, in this case, with adding and subtracting, you are going to add your whole numbers and then your fractions. So my answer ended up being 6 9/9. Okay. Well, I'm not finished yet, because if you notice, 9/9 is equivalent to 1. Okay, so I know that 9/9 equals 1. Well, if I know that 9/9 equals 1, I can just go ahead and add that 1 to my 6, and my answer would be 7. Okay, so 4 3/9 plus 2 2/3. Let me go ahead and erase this part real quick. Okay. Let me get back to the pencil. Okay, I know that 4 3/9 plus 2 2/3 after I worked everything out equals 7. All right, so that's an example that I have given you with adding. Let's talk about how we would subtract mixed numbers. Okay, so I have the equation 9 6/8 minus 2 1/4. And just like before, and when we're adding and subtracting fractions in general, I know that my denominators need to be the same. Okay, so let's find our least common multiple between 4 and 8. My least common multiple between 4 and 8. Okay, well, I know my multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And I'm going to stop right there. My multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there. My least common multiple between the two is 8. Okay, well, 9 6/8 already has a denominator of 8. Remember, we're trying to get our denominators to match that least common multiple. So if my denominator is already 8, well, 9 6/8 is going to remain. Okay. And then I need to take my 1/4 and make that 4 also an 8. Well, I know that I can take 4 and I can multiply that times 2 to equal 8. And whatever I do to my my denominator, I also have to do to my numerator. And I don't have to do that to my whole number. Don't forget that. Okay. So 2 is going to remain the same. And I know that 1 times 2 is 2. And I know that 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. And remember, let's not forget the reason why we're doing this. We need to essentially take 1/4 and find an equivalent fraction where 8 is my denominator, so that my denominators are equal to each other, so I can now subtract them from each other. Okay. 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. All right. So let me go ahead and erase that part just so I don't confuse you. Okay, so now that my denominators match, I can go ahead and subtract. And just like with adding mixed numbers, I'm going to go ahead and subtract my whole numbers first. So then I know that 9 minus 2 is 7. Okay, and then now I can subtract my fractions. 6 minus 2 is 4. And my denominator stays the same, which is 8. Okay. Now I'm not finished, because if you look at it, I know that 4/8 can be simplified. Okay, well, let's go ahead and simplify them. I'm going to erase all of my least common multiple stuff so we have room to work down here. All right, so let's look at 7 4/8. Now remember, I gave you that anchor chart where you can see the difference between a least common multiple and a greatest common factor. You need to find your greatest common factor. Excuse me, let me go ahead and I made a mistake right there. Let me fix that. I know that my greatest common factor is what I want to find when I am simplifying my answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify 4/8. Let's go ahead and find my factors of 4 and my factors of 8. Okay, my factors of 4, the numbers that can go into 4 evenly, are just 1, 2, and 4. The numbers that can go into 8 evenly is 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Okay, now remember, when we're simplifying, we got to find that greatest common factor. My greatest common factor is 4. So we're going to take that 4 and we are going to divide it, my numerator by 4 and my denominator by 4. Okay, now remember, your whole number 7 stays the same. Okay, so it's 7. I know that 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So it simplifies down to 7 1/2. Okay, well, made a mistake right there. Let me fix that. There we go. So I know that if I have 9 6/8 minus 2 1/4, my answer is 7 1/2. And that's all I'm going to do for today, just to show you a couple of examples. And like always, I miss you guys very much. I hope these videos are helping you guys out just a little bit. As always, I'm always here if your parents have questions, or if you have questions. I'm only a short email away. I'm only a short remind message away. If need be, I'm only a short call away. So if you guys need any help, please, please, please reach out to me. Refer to your notes I gave you. Look at this video over and over again if you need to. I am your #1 cheerleaders. I hope you guys are doing well, and I miss you guys so much. Thanks. Bye.